Back again. Happy Tuesday, November 29. I'm Stefan Roost. I'm the founder of Laguna Labs, which is the developer behind Truflation and the Truth Network. So glad to be here. Back. Most of you know I've been in crypto for a number of years, and now back building again and continuously building on the Truth Network and Truflation Nation. We're gonna have an interesting show. This is a long time since I've given an update. Today is my birthday, November 19th, and here I am, not going out. My daughter invited me out to a nice dinner, but I'm not going out. I'm staying here and working to deliver this to you as I'm in Europe. I will be going out afterwards, though, so I'm going to keep this short and tight. But I really feel that we've had an amazing week, and I really apologize that I haven't been here sooner. It's been pretty crazy over the last couple of months. And we are now live on X too. I got my hair cut, as you can all see, super short. But apologies for not being so consistent. Usually we try to do 12 at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we try to do this every Tuesday and Thursday. Next Thursday, as in tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, we won't be doing the live AMA because we've got a Spaces with Theoric, a partner of ours that is building and supporting development around the Truth Network. And I'll get into that a bit later on, sort of how we're set up. But the reason why I've been so erratic in terms of and lack of consistency around the show has largely been I've been on the road. I've been on the road for now nearly 6 months nonstop across Northern America down to South America, the far south in Argentina, where we launched the Argentinian index, then across to Singapore for Token 2049, Hong Kong for FinTech Week, and then DevCon in Bangkok, to finally be in Europe right now, where we're talking about indexes and trying to really drive the development of index coins and synthetic assets associated with real world and on-chain blended together. Anyway, that's sort of been the roadshow. You've heard a lot of amazing meetings, a lot of good business development opportunities, and a lot of progress that we've been working towards and making. Some of them we're not quite ready to announce. We'll be announcing them very soon. But one of the things that I do want to bring up is we've been talking a lot about, we've had an amazing period, by the way, a lot of elections, and our belief and what you will have seen is that we've been talking a lot about the golden age. We really think that we're now entering into a regulatory framework and a legal environment that is going to be pro-entrepreneur, pro-development, because being an entrepreneur is really tough anyway. And so I think, what did Elon Musk put it down to is like eating glass and looking into the abyss at the same time. And that's sometimes what it feels like. That's sort of the path that we go down in a lot of the cases as we try to scale any kind of startup and get past hurdles. First couple of months are super fun, but then when the challenges come and hit, it's a very different ball game, and it requires persistence, tenacity, and the ability to have a team around you that can also survive that, has that same tenacity, has the same ability to suffer, to go through the pain, to do the hard things that are needed in order to come out on the other side. And so having that team is really important, and pulling that team together, and that hopefully the events bring the team together as well. So that's really important. And we're very fortunate at Truflation and the Truth Network to have such a team. But really, we have been talking about a golden age for a long period of time, and we'll be going into that a lot more once we get the affirmation of this golden age, right? Things like Biden going across to and announcing that we're going to give long-range missiles to Ukraine and support Ukraine is just like a red rag to a bull, and is basically trying to say we're ready to go to World War III. We are not ready. We as a citizenship and a population are not ready to go to World War III, and we don't want to go through hard things by going to war and killing ourselves. We want to go to hard things and build and grow the economies. That's what we're here to do. That's what we love doing. And that's where hard things are meant to be spent. And hard things bring about change, right? We are here as entrepreneurs to disrupt the establishment, to change the way businesses is done, the way, and drive more efficiencies, drive more effectiveness in actually achieving those milestones. Where do we do that? We don't do that by following everything that we're told to do, by going to war, for sure not, because we destroy everything and we give the same incumbents that have been working from home and sort of trying to come up with construction contracts, because demolition means somebody gets to rebuild. And who are the rebuilders? Generally people that have big contracts in rebuilding, the Halliburtons of the world, the big contractors in Europe that are going to rebuild the demolished landscapes in those countries, right? And they have all been sitting at home in comfortable sofas, lobbying, putting big contracts and proposals together, trying to allocate and find where all the tractors are in the world and have them flown in and shipped in to the necessary markets, and obviously charging government big fat bills in order to be able to do so. We don't want that. We want to invest in the future. We want to invest in blockchain technology, in clean tech, so that we can actually disrupt and change the energy industry, in health tech, so we can have personalized medication and Medicare that is actually relevant and not around creating sickness, chronic sickness, so that we can supply you with annuity revenue for drugs that are going to make us worse, more depressed, and more needing of dopamine hits, because we're so tired of whatever we are throughout the whole day. And so how do we fix that? How do we create health tech and new technologies, leveraging the knowledge that's been accumulated over the last decades but hasn't been put to use, and the technologies that are helping support that that knowledge, the implementation of that knowledge? Blockchain technologies, amazing decentralization of data, the importance of decentralization and sourcing truth from that decentralized data network. And how, with these consensus algorithms, we can achieve verification of truth based on the data across this network. We may have different data networks that provide different sources of truth, different algorithms, but at least you can see the way the algorithms work and the sources of truth that those algorithms are fighting to protect and to ensure accuracy associated with that. And obviously there's a Lindy effect in that work, in that marketplace, that has an impact. What is Lindy effect? It's basically the longer you are in a marketplace, the more trust and faith people have in your business, in your brand. And why? Because you managed to survive through a whole period of time. You've managed to comfort and assure that the accuracy of what you are standing for and what you are fighting for is enough and has gained enough traction and reliability and trust in the marketplace. So that's really what it's about. And so we really think that we are entering into this golden age, and we will be talking more about this across 2025. Why? Because that's when the new regulation kicks in and the new administration starts taking its impact. We've seen a lot of the candidates that have been put forward for new roles. They are, on the one hand, trying to clean up a historical mess. On the other hand, they're trying to drive forward and eliminate a lot of the bureaucracy and administration that has been put in place, layered on layered for years and decades and centuries. And now we're trying to cut through those and clean it up and allow for efficiency to reign. And who are going to be the suppliers of that new reign and the efficiencies out there? There's a lot of activity taking place, and you can see what's taking place. But right now, we are suffering with a big problem, right? At the moment, how can people get on to the ladder? They can't, right? The average age of a home buyer is now 56 years old, up from 49. So we've gone we've gone from 50 years old in 2023 to now 56 years old of in terms of older people, old to older people who can now purchase a house. Why do you want to purchase a house, by the way, anyway? Because you're just tied down to that jurisdiction, that state, and that environment, right? So you're locked in, and who knows, you're at the behest of the local regulator in terms of issuing new land development rights, right? And by the way, all the homeowners are anyway your pension funds, the big hedge funds, the private equity firms. They own most of the land, most of the multiple apartments and residential units that are out there, be it multifamily or single family homes in cities, etc. Right? It's all the big. And by the way, they have built their back off the back of your 401ks and your MPFs, as they call them in different countries, right? Mutual provident funds, right? That you are forced to give away for somebody to manage. They get paid a fee to manage that, guaranteed, and then they get to invest it in the real estate where they can then charge you, because that's an issue that they can lobby for, to restrict land development rights so that nobody can build new supply, and they can control the supply and the market rate so that the rent and you return on that investment goes up, whereby they still only pay you 2 or 3% in your 401k or your MPF, right? And so that's the way this scheme works, and this needs change, and we are about bringing that change through all the technological innovation that's taking place across AI, across clean tech, across blockchain technology. I'm repeating myself over and over again. Why? Because some people may just be chiming in right now, and otherwise, I just, by repeating and hammering the same message home, you may remember that and ultimately, hopefully, make your future decisions on how and where you can find opportunities to invest in. But these are all going to be areas that you can invest in, and they are going to be in the centralized fiat world, in the traditional world, but they will also be in the off-chain world and in the on-chain world, in crypto, in blockchain, tokenized, etc. So you're going to have two different worlds that are going to run in parallel. Some people believe in one, some people believe in the other, and some people believe in both and like to hedge themselves across both. I think you know where I have a lot of my bets. But either way, yeah, so it's getting harder and harder for home buyers to participate, right? But the funny thing is, where and how do young people get on to the wealth ladder? How do they grow their wealth? How do they accumulate wealth, and how do they grow? I think that's going to be the big challenge, and we're seeing that it's going to come in blockchain. And you can see one of the trends that's happening, and it's not just Bitcoin. There was a really interesting post which I'll go into on Thursday anyway, but it's going to be across other chains, right? And you can see what is happening right here, right? So if you believe in what's taking place, and that we are about to enter into a golden age, you can see here blockchain is going to play a big part in that. There's a backed company. It soars 90%. It was owned largely by Fidelity. It's been around since 2018 or something, and it's been losing money over the last period of time. But all of a sudden, people are betting on the crypto market. And you can see Trump's social media company will buy the crypto trading venue. So this is a company that actually takes real world assets, stores it, and holds it in custody, and then tries to tokenize it off the back of it. That was the original business model. I don't know what it is now, but check it out. Backed soars. How is Trump's social media company going to perform? Is that going to grow even further? Who's managing that? How is that being managed? Look at some of the leaderships. And if you have, I know it's tradable, so you can actually take a look at that. And maybe they raised money as through a, what do you call it? A SPAC. It's a SPAC, right? So you can buy through a SPAC. You can then special purpose acquisition company. And so what you can do with that is now come in and buy underlying assets to actually grow the business and build off the back of that. So crypto is definitely going to be a part of all of this, right? Anyway, yeah, so that's really what's been happening, and we are working towards building this out as the golden age, right? Are we entering a new golden age? And we come up with a whole bunch of arguments as to why this is happening, what's the background, and then we'll come up with great opportunities, right? So AI, we talk about some of AI. Where are the opportunities? What are the alpha going to be? And how can you follow that alpha, right? So that's really what we are hoping, that you get the opportunity to do that. And why I think Bitcoin was really, there was a real interesting article that Justin Bonds just wrote. Justin Bonds is a big influencer. He's runs Cyber Capital out of Holland. Yeah, sort of he's done, where's some of his posts? He wrote an interesting article, which I thought was very interesting, around Bitcoin and be careful of Bitcoin. And that made me think about proof of work and what some of the alternatives are in the event of this Bitcoin. Oh God, he's so many comments already, man. It's like so far ago. The guy's posting quite a lot, so that's good to see. No, it's just recently. I'm sure of it. Anyway, basically, what he's saying is he looks at the industry, and BTC, here you go. Here, this is it. Let me share this with you. I thought this was pretty interesting and insightful. And I know we all think Bitcoin is where it's going, and we got to save in Bitcoin. Everybody's buying Bitcoin, from the ETFs all the way through to nation states, sovereign funds, private equity funds. But what is going on? So warning, BTC is vulnerable to a bank run. So here, if and so this is really important. If a panic sets in, the vast majority of 33 million on-chain users will not be able to exit. So there are 33 million on-chain users, right? So he differs between on-chain and off-chain. The off-chain users are generally going to be people that are ETF holders, right? That are, a part of a sovereign wealth fund, are a part of a hedge fund, are part of Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, that have all confirmed they own a lot of the ETFs, but they also have bought their own Bitcoin. What does that mean, and why is that saying, right? The queue would be, in fact, 1.82 months long. Why does he mean a queue time? What? Don't I stand in line? Usually it's no. In the blockchain, in Bitcoin, every block is 10 minutes long. So on average, right? So not quite always exactly 10 minutes, but it's generally about 10 minutes long. And every block has a set of transactions that need to be confirmed. And that's why it takes 10 months to confirm that transaction. And 10 minutes to confirm that transaction and validate it through the historical chain, once and where the last change happened across the chain. And so when that is then logged and verified, if you want to unwind all the money, it will take 1.82 months long. And here's the thread why he does. And so he does the maths, right? So it's taken on using Glassnode, how many holders there are, and the transaction per second is based on max theoretical TPS. So the block size of a Bitcoin block is 1.6 megabytes. Transaction size, each transaction in a block is 374 bytes. So, and the block time is 10 minutes, right? So he takes that 10 minutes. So the actual TPS is 7.75. Number of transactions per second is 7.75. Based on that mathematical calculation that you saw here, I thought that was super interesting. So, I mean, we all know that. That's nothing new. But again, this is theoretical block size, right? And so if we use TPK transaction format, so normal transaction format in a Bitcoin is 2 inputs and 2 outputs to represent an average user, right? So an average transaction requires 2 inputs and 2 outputs. and to do that, right? So again, coming back to after SegWit, right? So SegWit was a technological enhancement to the blockchain. The block sizes did increase to 4 megabits, right? But you can't fill them all with transactions apparently. And so that's why it was 1.66 megabytes. So we stick with this number because that's what we know and that's what we run. So he then converts that into the 705 multiple, converts that into again back to the 7.75 transactions per second. So I don't know why he drops. Okay, so he rounds down to 7 because BT cannot do. Okay, so you have to use full transactions. So again, 7, right? It's like saying you have 3.25 babies is the average number size, but actually, who has 3.25 babies? No, on general, you round it down and you have 3 babies per person, right? And I think it's sane to round it down versus rounding it up because it just doesn't make sense in this case. So he did the right thing. 7x times 60x. Minutes, 420 minutes at 60 hours. Oh my God, it's a long calculation. So basically, in a month, you can have 18,144 million transactions, right? 18 million transactions, pretty much, in a month. That's what the blockchain can handle right now. And so there are 33 million on-chain users divided by, so that's 1.8 months for every user to do a transaction. That's at this gas rate, right? So gas fees. And so imagine if you want to accelerate your transaction with the miners. So you pay the miners money, they will then accelerate and push you forward in front of the queue so you can jump it. And guess who can afford $1,000 transaction? So if you read this, I'm not going to go into this too much, but you can read it. And basically goes into any retail user is going to fall to the back of the chain in the event that the ETFs and the BlackRocks of the world, the Michael Saylors and the MicroStrategies that hold a lot of the Bitcoin, they can afford $1,000 transaction fees. But if you've only got 10 sats, 100 sats, 1,000 sats, then you are not going to be able to pay $1,000 gas fee, and you will be waiting 1.8 months before you can execute. And in a declining market, you are at the end of the chain and you lose out in a bank run. That is only in the event of a bank run. And a bank run happens very seldomly. It happens at some times, but that's when panic breaks out. And let's hope we don't have panic in Bitcoin. I don't think we do. But there are chains and developers that have been building for bigger block size, faster transaction speed. Bitcoin Cash is using proof of work and a way to pursue it. Is that still got a broad enough a holder base? Has that still got enough of the miners that can support Bitcoin Cash? That homework we still need to do, but that is an alternative. Another one of the top developers in the Bitcoin ecosystem or the proof of work ecosystem was Amaury Séchet, who's running the eCash network, another proof of work blockchain, trying to clean up the code. He's been rewriting it for a long period of time. It's very complex. And if you do some research into the complexity of rewriting Bitcoin, no matter how good Bitcoin is as a technology, the software is really bad. It is written. Satoshi Nakamoto was a brilliant mathematician or scientist or whatever you want to call him, business modeler, leveraging a lot of legacy and security in encryption technology, as well as in e-money or digital money, having understood that and being able to combine that. But he was a really bad coder. Code is really bad. And you look at all the YouTube videos on how long it takes people to rewrite code, compile, recompile. It's really complex. And eCash has been working on this since the beginning. They tried to do that in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem and then forked it and then created eCash as well. So those are two other alternatives, trying to build the same, leveraging Bitcoin technology, forking it, redeveloping it, and trying to scale it so that it pursues the original concept around peer-to-peer electronic cash, payments, fast, cheap, instant gratification, and disrupting the payment rails on-chain layer 1 payment solutions, not layer 2, not layer 3, but actually layer 1 solutions. And so those are alternatives. Do more homework on that, study them, and see if they have longevity and vitality in the long run in the upcoming golden age around proof of work. We haven't even gone into some of the other currencies. And there was an interesting post by Murad the other day that came out that was talking about what was he talking about? He was talking about, that's not his ticker, actually. He was talking about how, in this wave, there will be a change in the waves that will not be like it was traditionally, where it would go from Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins and then to, here, this is the one. Actually, take a look at this. So here's the old money flow that you can see. It goes from Bitcoin to Ethereum to large caps and then altcoins, right? So you can see that was the old money flow, right? So people that got into Bitcoin like me back in 2012 have gone this route, right? But new people coming into the ecosystem right now, young, fresh, hungry, looking for yield, looking to create wealth. Why? Because they need to. This is the only way they can get onto the wealth ladder. You got Bitcoin, you go to Solana, you go to Dogecoin. Wow, Elon Musk is backing that. Okay, great. I've come to Solana, I made lots of money, I put it into Doge, and then I go into large meme coins, right? Large cap meme coins, Dog with Hat, Pepe, Brett on base, and then I go into full ape meme coin, right? Harry Potter, Bitcoin Obama. You have, sort of SPX 6900. You've got all these elements out there that are looking to generate growth. But the hard thing about these meme coins is you need to be in the meme coin landscape. How are you in the meme coin? There's like, I don't know, go to pump.fun. There are 5,000 new meme coins every single day. Which one's gonna pump? Which one's gonna be the one? How do you know about it? How are you involved with the insiders? Either you're an insider and you're going to come in and take and benefit from it because you've limited the supply. It's only like 1-2% are going into supply. You pump up the price and then it goes up. Everybody apes in because they think it, but they then sell into that momentum. And so be careful. This is like super risky. It's super hard to buy into meme coins. It's a lot of effort. You've got to do it full time and you've got to be engaged with the ecosystem in order to understand which ones are going to drive the momentum, which ones are going to build a sustainable cult following, and how can you be a part of that and not be the part that in the million, it's like a needle in a haystack. I think that's the big summary. How do you find the needle within that haystack? That is the hard thing. And unless you're insider and you're in it, it's really hard. So be careful going into this as well. But just wanted to highlight some other opportunities, what's going on in one of the sectors and one of the markets, right? And so we think that actually what's going to happen here, because it's so diluted, how do I get in there, learn about which ones are doing well by buying index? Index coins are going to be the next wave. So stay tuned. We are working on that. We are. And why is that so important? How do you get the price feeds and reliable sources of that? How do you build indexes around that? How do I invest in an index and trade and find out what's going on? So that's all things that we're working on, and that's interesting. So that's sort of really what we're trying to highlight and share some of the opportunities in the blockchain world, right? We'll go into energy. I've already gone into energy. And if you paid attention last couple of sessions or listened in, and if you're not, you can go back and find the history. But we've talked about energy. We've talked about nuclear reactors, what that means and where the innovation's happening in that area. We've talked about commodities, right? There's going to be a whole new wave of commodities. How do you participate in commodities? Where are the commodities? It's a finite resource on the planet that's going to be needed in the growth and the development of all these new systems that we're doing. Will we get them from space? Will we get them from Mars? Will we get new commodities from Mars, new metals, new technologies? Ooh, interesting. How will that change? And what's the time frame on this? Remember, a lot of the time horizons are long, right? I know Kathy Woods is out there. She's claiming that we're going to enter a new wave, and all the new technology is going to bring disruption and going to bring the price down and tackle inflation. Yes, that is true. It will do it. But what's the timing of that? When does that technology kick in? I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts, if that's going to kick in really early on, right? And is it going to take maybe 6 months, 12 months before we get to that point, and then we can actually do something about it? Our view, inflation's picking up. We're seeing that. Go to truflation.com, have a look, right? And see for yourselves. I'll just load it for you right now, right here. Truflation.com, right? Go to US inflation index. It has flattened out today, one day. But guess what? We're entering into the holiday season. People are going to be traveling. You don't think the airlines are going to be raising their rents? You don't think people are going to be food? People are going to need food. We're going to have buying, Thanksgiving's coming around. We got presents to buy. We've got Black Friday coming in. We've got new winter season. I got to bring out all my new fashion items for this new winter season. And look at this spike that we've experienced in the last, it's come down lately, just recently. But I mean, we've always seen a big correction. And you can see drops here. You can see little drops here. So let's see if this will continue or not. We have bet on inflation numbers going up, and we have been very good at that bet. And we are working with our customers and our users to identify opportunities in how you can bet in that. I don't think we will see an interest rate hike. You can believe what you like on these markets, but we are betting against an interest rate hike, and we're putting the money where our mouth is, and we're putting the money what our data is telling us. So we're looking at what people are doing, not what they're saying. Virtue signaling is one thing. Action is another thing. So watch what they're doing. And like I highlighted with Trump media buying backed, that is a signal of where things are going to go. You see what Justin Bonds are writing about a bank run. Is that where things are going? That's a bit more risky, right? I don't know, but it's possible. And in theory, everybody I've spoken to, and there are a lot of people in crypto that have read that as well, are buying into that or are believing into that concept. So beware, check it out, look for alternatives. And then again, be careful about meme coins. When you invest into meme coins, you have a super high probability you're better off going to Polymarket and putting some money on a prediction market, whether interest rates are going to go up in the next session or not. So bet against it going down versus buying a meme coin. I think you're going to be better odds on that one. But anyway, do your own homework, do your own decisions, make your own decisions. Do your own bets and investments. It's really important you do that and you learn how to do that. I've talked about the golden age coming into effect and where that's going. But I've also talked to you a lot about what we're doing at Inflation and Truflation.com, right? I want to share with you now. Usually I go in through a bit of macro sort of view, what's going on, and we're going to get much more specific. I said it last time. Unfortunately, I've just come back. Our studio is not quite ready yet. It's super nitty ready. It's going to be really cool. Really like that. We've got to test it out a little bit more, and the Wi-Fi isn't strong enough, so I'm still out of here. But we will be changing that. And then ultimately, we will be going deeper into specific themes. And you will see that across the Truflation ecosystem and the Truth Network ecosystem, the Truth ecosystem. So be a truther and follow us and sign up. If you have any questions, let me know. The best way to do that is in YouTube. Go over to the YouTube, subscribe to that channel, and give some comments here. We've got Ed Kelso back. Amazing to see him. Let's fucking go. Stefan is someone you must take in as part of your financial alpha diet. Thank you, Kelso. Super good to hear that. Future BTC. What I call Bitcoin Fi is L2 scaling. Writing article about it now. So follow Kelso. He's a journalist, been in Bitcoin really long, really early on, and has an amazing network. And look, he's talking about Garzik's Hemi, leveraging BTC and ETH as hybrid L2. There you go. Jeff Garzik was one of the really super early Bitcoiners. If you haven't followed him, follow him on Twitter, and also follow Kelso. He seems to be writing lots of good articles these days as well, more and more. So always good to see Kelso come back and write good content. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough on that. One thing I did want to share with everybody was sort of just go into a bit more of where we're going with Truflation, right? You've seen some changes and you will see some more changes, but I want to give you a sneak peek in terms of what we're looking at. And this is maybe a bit of a strategy of what we're working on. Some of token holders have asked us what we're working on. And so here I'm going to give you a quick snapshot. This is raw, right? Rough, raw, and real. You have to be able to handle the truth if you're working with Truflation. But yeah, no, we're rough, raw, and real. I want to give you things that are real and that we're working on, and versus just giving you beautiful, lovely pictures. I know when I go on public presentations, I generally do that in more beautiful style, but right now it's rough, raw, and real. So hold up, buckle up, sit down, and hope that you find this interesting. You can see here, we're separating and building the Truth Network. The Truth Network has some 20 different node operators that are maintaining and using a consensus algorithm to ensure that the data that is uploaded and integrated into and composed inside the Truth Network is accurate. We're using BitComet's consensus algorithm, and we're using SQL smart contracts to ensure that accuracy, especially when it relates to indexes. The Truth Network is an open source protocol. We will be open sourcing all of that code so anybody can come in and work with the code on the Truth Network. We have partnered with some of the best industry providers and the smartest kids on the block, if you will. They're not kids anymore. They're very mature and super experienced, working together with some great networks. And if you go to Truflation.com ecosystem, you will be able to see all of our partners. So Truflation.com/ecosystem. So check it out. You go to about under ecosystem, you will be able to see exactly who we are and what we are doing and who we are working with. You don't see everybody yet. We are updating this to incorporate everybody. Just some of the data sources here, data aggregators. So we still have LandX missing in there. We have a couple of others missing in there. You've got some of the exchanges that we're working with to list it, some of the TradFi customers. We've got a whole new set of customers coming on there as well. The validators maintaining the network, and then ultimately some of the technologies that we're working with and integrating with, some of the assets, blah, blah, blah. So you can have a look at that. What are all the chains that we're logging into and connected to, so that you will be able to receive all the exchanges on these chains will be able to see the data that we've got. So just the thing that you can check out and have a look at if you are into what we are doing on the Truth Network. So that's all going to be part of the Truth Network, right? And then what we found is that Truflation and the Truth Network have two really separate, distinguished customers, right? So the Truflation has a very institutional financial engineering sort of customer base and attracts that kind of audience. Where is inflation going? How am I trading on inflations? What other indexes are there associated with the data that is available on Truth Network but is packaged by Truflation? Truflation will be also highlighting a marketplace that will allow you to find where and what type of data is available on the Truth Network. So that's Truflation. It's really going to be focusing on institutions and financial engineers. That's the focus. Who is interested in that? Who wants to find alpha off the back of that? Who wants to use this data to be able to predict where the government numbers are coming out at? Why? Because we are 2 months ahead of the government numbers. You are getting leading economic indicators by following Truflation and using the Truflation data ahead of that of the government, right? So that is a competitive advantage, and institutions, big brands, they pay a lot of money to get that insight, and Oliver prepares an amazing presentation for them, but also shares it with you. So if you sign up to our Twitter If you sign up to our Telegram on Truflation, follow that. Why? Because you get alpha. You see what other institutions are seeing, maybe a day later, but still before the governments announce them. So you are going to get trading advantage associated with that. And some of the blog posts that are out there, hobbyists, check out and follow hobbyist on Twitter. Why? Because he has a post that highlights exactly how he takes advantage of Truflation's data before the government announces their data. So you have 1 day lead time. Take advantage of that and benefit of that. But don't take this as advice. Learn from others who are using it and how they're using it, and experiment. Experiment first. Why? Because that's how you learn. Don't go all in right off the bat, because that's how you lose, and you lose big time. You don't want to lose big time. You want to lose little and then be able to learn and then make bigger bets as your appetite and your risk appetite grows, and your knowledge grows as well. Grow that. Always be learning is a mantra that we live by. But yeah, here, as you can see back in this graph, coming back to this, and that was Truflation. Then we have the Truth Network, right? I talked about it with the consensus algorithm. We'll go into a lot more of this. What is an app chain? We've built this as an app chain, right? So a layer 3, it's fast, it's easy, it's very targeted, but has all the benefits of a blockchain. An app chain is an application-specific blockchain. So application-specific blockchain, right? So app chain. So anyway, yeah, just playing around with words. Sorry. Anyway, so that was just the fact there. And so what are we doing with that, right? With the app chain, it's allowing us a lot of flexibility. It allows us to build data specific networks. So we can stream data very fast. We can aggregate the data and process the data accordingly. We can have all the attributes that are available from a blockchain perspective: security, verification, censorship resistance, transparency. All of that is going to be on the chain. And what is important? Number one, accurate data. Number two, accurate governance associated with indexes that are using the data to calculate changes associated with indexes. So this can be a meme coin index that changes in terms of market cap associated with the different blockchains. How do we get that going? How do we build that out? How do we make that available? That is what the Truth Network will govern, will provide accuracy associated with it. And it's the only network out there building to support indexes at scale with verified data, both on-chain data as well as off-chain real-world data. So take care and take a look at that. That is going to be, you'll see more and more of that grow out of the Truflation as you know it, right? So that will sort of evolve over time as it builds out its maturity. And what's the difference? Again, a different target demographic. It focuses on developers, business to developers, B2D. Developers. Anybody see the Steve Ballmer video? That's been amazing. So yeah, he's sweating on stage. He's at a Microsoft conference. It goes insane. So check that out. That's really what it's focused on, is really developers. Who are the developers? Web3 developers, or maybe even Web2 that want to integrate the data. But it's really developers that are either looking for a webhook, a JSON API, or something like that in a format that they can work with, or they're looking for RPC feeds, and that is allowing them to get their feeds on the blockchain so that people can read it through the blockchain. So there are multiple different angles. And as you know, that is really targeted at synthetic assets, lending protocols, exchanges, index engineers that are all building out using this kind of data. So have a look at that. That's really what we're focusing on, and that's what we're trying to deliver. And yeah, we are delivering on that. So stay tuned. You saw index.fund, which is really allowing people to build indexes. We've been working heavily on that. That will take some time to get launched and listed and prepared and audited, etc. And then number two, there is the new one, the Flatcoin, a yield-bearing protocol that provides yield to a stablecoin that is inflationary. So you are guaranteed to protect your stablecoin against inflation. That's what that yield provides. The other yield goes to the reserve. The reserve is tokenized commodity assets. So it'll be tokenized oil, gold, silver, Bitcoin, SP 500. All of that will be tokenized as the reserve for the protocol. And any excess yield will be shared with the nuonites, or people that are participating in the governance of the protocol. So take a look at that. That's coming very soon in January. So we're hoping to share that with you very soon and shortly. Anyway, that's sort of a bit about Truflation, all the stuff we've been working on. We've got some amazing blog posts coming out. Stay tuned. We're trying to teach you more about an app chain, what that is, and how is the Truth Network a part of that, and how does Truflation leverage the Truth Network, and what can you do to leverage all of that data, indexing capability, and index compute capability on the Truth Network to really capitalize on that. And then all the data, how do you learn and work with all the data that is available so that you can actually start to move up the wealth ladder? And hopefully we're teaching you stuff along the way. You enjoy this, and if you do, please subscribe and stay tuned for Thursday. As I mentioned, we'll be a bit earlier on Thursday, so we'll do this at 5:30, half an hour earlier, or 12:30, or 11:30, sorry, depending where you're at, East time or Europe time. And in Asia, it's going to be late at night. So it'll be midnight, unfortunately. Maybe we'll have to structure it a bit earlier. I'll try and come in the mornings and do it a bit earlier so we capture some and can scale this globally. But that's the picture. That's what we've been working on. If you have any questions, stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe, Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, as well as go to our website, follow our newsletter, because you get a lot of the content in our newsletter as well. And we do deliver that weekly. We've had a bit of challenges with the changing around, new technology, migrating from here to there. And as most of you know, we've also had a bit of a security issue that we've had to deal with, which we've now dealt with, and we want to move on. We are moving on from there. All the exchanges are nearly, not all, but just except one or two. And so we're waiting for those one and two and working very closely with them to get this across the line. And then we don't need to worry anymore, and we just go. We are also actively pursuing criminal effects against the participants that took negative action. Anyway, that's 50 minutes. I've been on here a lot longer than I usually am. Hope you enjoyed this. And in the meantime, have a great what day is it today? Tuesday. And it's my birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, me. And I'm going to go out for dinner and see my daughter and be able to spend some family time on my birthday here in Switzerland. But I really wanted to bring this to you, all of you, and just share with you where we're at and what we're doing. And then I'll be back again on Thursday. Also, sign up to the Theoric spaces. Look, I've got my alarm on my watch. I went to the workout this morning, and I've been on calls ever since 7:30, nonstop, back to back. I think I got away for a shake and a coffee. I had 4 coffees, but a shake, a whey protein shake, and a coffee. That's been my break all day, back to back. But I wanted to bring this to you, and I want to get back on track and consistently come back to you and share with you what the status is and where we're at. On that note, thank you very much. Have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and see you on Thursday. Bye for now.